Okay,
you know?
so we are live, and we'll see people jumping on in just a minute or two.
Alrighty.
So, where is your store while we're waiting for people?
So my store is in Geneva, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes west of downtown Chicago. It's a really cute little city. There's a nice little street of like mom and pop businesses, lots of like
Mhm.
naturally oriented, like apothecary and natural
Oh, neat.
cosmetics and stuff. So yeah, we fit right in really nicely there, and it's just a really cute little town. Lots of good places to eat. So it's a destination city. So it works out. We get a lot of foot traffic that people
Oh,
didn't
that's
know
great.
we existed. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's nice.
that is. Hey, Janet, one of my team members, on from up north where it's probably still cold. It's cold
Probably.
down here.
Yeah. It's a
Um,
nice day here in Chicagoland. It's 73 and sunny. It's perfect.
oh gosh,
Yeah,
I
finally.
wish I was there.
Yeah, it was like
Um,
30 2 days ago, so
yeah, yeah.
it is here.
So, looks like we got hi, Amy. Hi, Debbie. Looks like people are coming on. So, welcome everyone to another Facebook Live in support of the Healthy Dog Expo. The expo is coming up. I was just sharing with my guest, Krysta Fox of CBD Dog Health, that I just moved 276 pounds of shampoo samples from Four Legger for all you guys gift bags. So my car is full, and after we wrap up, I'm headed to the storage unit so that I can put what comes today in the car so I can take it tomorrow. So it's kind of like moving. It's not a lot of fun. What's your day been like? Are you working at your store? You own a pet store.
Yes, yes, I will be at the store the rest of the day, just hanging out. I had a consult, but it canceled, so I'm free the rest of the day to just hang out with customers and talk and help them out. So that is what I do with the latter part of my week. The beginning of my week, I have other jobs. I'm a veterinary technician at 2 other clinics. Then I obviously work with CBD Dog Health, writing blogs and ebooks and sorts of things like that. So I stay busy.
You stay busy, absolutely.
And then my dog is a full-time job. My little dog, Bruce Wayne, he's snoozing. I'll show him on camera when he's awake. But my little pug, he is partially paralyzed, has pug myelopathy, and I have to catheterize him twice a day. So he's a full-time job in and of itself. But he is the reason that I do everything I do, why I became a tech, why I have my store. So he is my muse.
Well, and I think that's a pretty universal story that
Yeah,
we all came to this because of a dog.
absolutely.
And with each dog, you learn.
Yep, they're here to teach us. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, how long have you been working with CBD Dog Health, Angelina and the crew?
I think this is my 3rd year. I kind of lose track of time with the pandemic, but I'm pretty sure I started in 2020 when the pandemic hit and everyone was working from home. And I just came on to help, inform and educate. And
Mhm.
I've really come around writing blogs. I was quite nervous about it at first because I hadn't done it. I hadn't written anything since college. And then
Right.
now it's a breeze.
Yeah, now it becomes second nature.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's easy because I keep learning and teaching and growing every day. So the blogs just help me reinforce all of that. And I love educating people about the benefits of cannabis and mushrooms because they're just so amazing when they're sourced and produced properly. The benefits that they can yield are just
Oh,
incredible.
yeah. Yeah. And one of the themes I always wind up talking when I talk with people about CBD, especially mushrooms, and to some degree other supplements, is the way to identify a quality product
Yeah.
and, decide what really is the snake oil and why you probably don't want to buy this stuff on Amazon.
Yeah, there's a lot of quackery out there, and the supplement industry is pretty much entirely unregulated. So you
Mhm.
really do have to know your company and vet them, and it's tricky. So that's my life's work, is doing that for other people so that they don't have to be so confused. But yeah, I mean, Amazon has flooded the marketplace, and people know there's money to be made, and not
Yeah.
a lot of people are doing it for the right reasons, unfortunately. So you're going to get a lot of junk and then kind of tarnish the name of CBD mushrooms or whatever supplement you're using and say, it didn't work, when you
Right.
just didn't get a quality product.
Yeah, and you just hit the nail on the head, and I know it's a personal thing for you, for why we should be supporting our independent pet stores and not, the big chains, I'll say, not to single out any one of them. You guys who own these stores do it because you want to put the best product on your shelf. You want to stand behind everything the person buys and help them.
Absolutely.
And, the minimum wage worker at a big box pet store just is looking forward to getting home.
Yeah.
That's about it. They don't know anything about the products. They know whatever the brand rep came in and told them. They might know that if they sell 10 bags of this particular brand, they're going to get a free t-shirt. But that's about it.
Yeah.
And you guys go out and research and work with brands, and you aren't afraid to, as I've seen with certain brands that went to, say, Chewy or an online service, dump the brand from your store.
Yeah, I absolutely have dumped quite a few brands for that, lack of transparency, change of ownership. You got to be on top of that stuff. And I mean, almost all the time when a customer asks why I don't have such and such product and I inform them, they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know they changed ownership. I didn't know they're owned by this or this. So it's definitely, it's a labor of love, but it's worth it when you see people come in, appreciate that knowledge, and then their pets have such incredible results using those right products, chosen thoughtfully and used in the right way.
Yeah. I mean, I think of Origin and Acana that had rabid fan bases when they were independent and pre the DCM debacle, which we won't even go into. But now they're owned by Mars or Purina. I don't remember which.
Yeah, I know there was like now it's like, oh, it's a quiz for me. I think it's Mars and not Purina, because I think Purina lost the battle and Mars gained it.
And Mars won it. But it's like, okay, you ran them into the ground.
And they oh, we love our little guys and we'll always support you. And that was like Super Zoo 3 years ago. And then they turned their backs and started signing contracts. And it's unfortunate. Like, I understand, we live in America and it's a capitalistic society and everybody's got to make money. But at some point, where do your morals go? How do you sleep at night?
Right.
Like, just selling out and, everything changes. And they're keen on the fact that customers do pick up on that. Like when Merrick got bought out, they kept their formulas the same for a year. That was in their contract. And then they started slowly making shifts so that customers had kept their trust in the brand and just didn't think anything would change. So
because they always believe that line of, oh, the same people will be there and everything. And no, it's
and with the pandemic, like, sourcing has changed so much that people will start to cut corners because they can't get the same ingredients and just go, oh, it's not a big deal. And the pets suffer. In the end, it's the pets that suffer. And that's just, it's unfortunate, but like we were talking, there are still quite a few really great companies out there that are doing things the right way. And obviously CBD Dog Health and Myco Dog are one of them.
Yeah, you wouldn't be working for them.
No, definitely not.
No.
And actually, it's my own life experience that led me to working with them.
So did you start with Bruce, or were there other dogs?
Yep, it was Bruce, of course. He, as a result of his spinal cord disease, was having a neurological condition that the best description would be a hind end seizure. It wasn't really a true seizure, but it was some sort of neurological issue where his back legs were going crazy for an hour at a time. And I tried everything from the conventional, muscle relaxers, anything that gabapentin, methocarbamol, all those things didn't work. Tried 4 other brands of CBD, still didn't work. So I reached out in, one of those Facebook groups because I was desperate. And Angela contacted me and she said, I know we have, you don't sell our products, but I just want to send you a bottle of Heal and I want you to try it on Bruce for me. And within 2 doses, the problem was resolved. And I was like, okay. This stuff really works. I cleared out all my other CBD, started carrying them, and it's just been nothing but wonderful, especially for my customers. They just rave about it, and it helps so many pets for so many different illnesses and reasons.
Yeah. So what are your top 3 reasons for using it? Why you tell a customer to purchase it in your store?
So definitely allergies and anxiety would be the top 2. And then, pain, inflammation, arthritis. But that's the beautiful thing, is that people will come in, let's just say for anxiety, and go, well, I'm just going to use it like as needed. And I go, well, you know what? It's actually a really great thing to give every day. I consider CBD more of a food than a supplement. It's only going to benefit your dog long-term, going to help balance out their body. So you're not just reactively giving it. That's not how I like to think about things. We should be proactive and trying to just prevent these things in the first place. So it's just, it's wonderful because no matter what reason they're coming in for, it's useful and it can be given, on a long-term basis without any harmful side effects. But definitely 'tis the season for allergies, so we're selling a lot of Ease and Soothe for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think anxiety is probably the number one reason a client will ask me about it.
Yeah.
And, and then they whip out a bottle from their bag. And, maybe it's a $20 bottle, maybe it's a $30 bottle. And, they say, I tried it, it didn't work.
Yep. That's a
Surprise.
classic story. And then that's the other thing. It's like, okay, I mean, the brand could be okay, but how are you administering it? How much
Right.
are you giving? There's a lot to it to get it really to be the most
Yeah.
effective. And
Right.
people aren't provided that education from just a gas station or a
Yeah.
dispensary or a pet store that, doesn't really know what they're doing. So it's
Yeah.
important. It's
Or
important.
they'll come in with CBD cookies.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and it's like, okay, I love giving dogs a treat, but this is not gonna cut the mustard if you have a thunderstorm phobic dog.
exactly.
It's not enough.
Exactly. And that's usually it. It's like, "Oh, well, I tried CBD. What'd you try?" Treats.
Mhm.
It's good for mild to moderate stuff, but if you're really trying to treat something therapeutic like generalized anxiety or like really reactive anxiety,
Right.
the treats aren't gonna do it.
No, no. And, a high quality, tincture liquid preparation. Yes, a lot of people find a lot of my clients, nice, this surprises me, have trouble administering liquids to their dog.
Yeah, for sure. That's
And I guess I just never thought of that because certainly my dogs, it's like, "Come over here.
yeah.
Let me have your lips and go."
Yeah, when you're in the vet industry, you're like, "What? You can't get in your dog's
Yeah.
mouth?" Like, and I've even done it in store. People are like, "No, I can't do it. You show me." And I do it in like, 10 seconds because I'm really
Yeah.
used to it. And they're like, "How did you do that?" It's
Well,
like,
I think to some degree it's gotta be a mechanical skill, like, you've probably done this when you teach owners how to administer an injection, and they're all thumbs, and it's like, "No, you just do it like this."
yeah,
So,
for
the
sure.
mechanical skill is part of it.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, that's why even from the beginning when people have puppies, I'm like, "Please get them used to veterinary handling techniques. It will
Mhm.
save you and your pet so much trouble." But
Yeah,
it just doesn't happen, and so many people that never had dogs got them during, the pandemic, and now we have dogs that are not socialized, not trained, and it's just a
it's a
nightmare.
nightmare and
For
can't be left
veterinary
alone.
technicians, it's a nightmare. But
Um,
we muddle through. I have found that, for people that have trouble with the dropper, we give them a 1 ml syringe
yeah,
'cause, that really helps get it at any angle and get it really fast versus
yeah.
if the dropper's upside down, you're just gonna shoot air into their
And
mouth.
you're counting drops. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we found that to work really, really well.
yeah.
And just reminding owners to make it a positive experience. Don't come running after your dog with a dropper, like looming over them. That's just in so many ways going to scare a dog in the first place. So making it a positive experience, giving them treats or giving them a meal afterwards, which actually will only increase the effectiveness of it, makes the positive experience much nicer for
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah. I taking medicine should not be unpleasant.
No, no.
Um,
And yeah.
yeah. And, oh, Amy. Amy, Amy, Amy.
Me
Good
too.
good for you.
Of
Uh,
course he is.
so, just thinking of the dogs and administering it, I will say I've had cats that I could not pill.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not common, but they're out there.
Yeah, cats are a little bit tougher, but it
Yeah,
is nice at least because unlike dogs, cats have such blood vessel rich paw pads that you can
and do that.
hear it
Yeah.
in their paw pads, and we'll actually offer people one of those like essential oil roller ball
Mhm.
things to put the oil in for cats for their ears or for their paws,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that works really, really well if they can't, they don't wanna get clawed in the
Don't
face.
wanna yeah, yeah. Um, oh, here's a great question from Janet. Uh, what's your top 3 flags for this is not a quality CBD?
So I would say, first off the bat would be not having a COA,
A
and
certificate of analysis.
yeah, a certificate of analysis, not making that easy to find. Also, not having batch by batch COAs. There's a lot of customer or companies that will just have one COA from a batch they made like 2 years ago, and they think that will cut it. Um, The other thing is, the ingredient label, because it's not regulated, there
Mhm.
can be a lot of trickery there in terms of hemp seed oil, hemp extract, hemp
Mhm.
oil. Those words all mean different things. So, in order to be able to distinguish that correctly, you should obviously be looking for full spectrum hemp extract to be
Right.
somewhere on that ingredient panel, but then backing that up with the COA to know that, okay, this is truly a full spectrum product. It does have all the terpenes, flavonoids,
Mhm.
cannabinoids in there. Um, and then the third would probably be the price. But
Okay.
that can waver because I've seen
Yeah.
really expensive products out there that don't yield great results. But generally, if the bottle is pretty cheap, that's going to be a sign of a pretty low quality product.
Yeah.
And then maybe I know this is like a fourth one, but the method of extraction, whether they use solvents like ethanol, that's a really popular one, and they'll
Mhm.
say there's no residual solvents left, but that does compromise the integrity of the hemp extract itself. So ideally, you want to look for something that's CO2 extracted.
Yeah. And of course, that process is a little more detailed, a little more expensive.
Yes.
So, a decent CBD probably starts around $60 for your average size bottle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're paying 30 or 39 or something,
Yeah.
look deeper and be sure that you're getting value for your money.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tricky. It's definitely tricky. I mean, it's nice to have companies like CBD Dog Health that make it really transparent and
Yeah.
not only sell and make a really great product, but are willing to help somebody distinguish what makes a good product,
What makes a good product.
like, and not just say only buy ours. Like, somebody might not have access to it. They might be in Canada or overseas
Right.
and want to know how to pick a good product. And
Oh, that's gonna be a question is, number 1, people are asking, what products are you bringing to the expo? And number 2, do you ship to other countries or is it US only at this point?
we do ship. We're working on, I think Germany, but we
Mhm.
do ship it to countries that allow it. It's just tough because of their regulations.
Yeah.
Um, but there are ways to get around that, and talking to our customer service, they can always work with you to figure out, not like a loophole, but some way to get the product to you that's efficacious and not extremely expensive. But we do have a lot of other countries that we're shipping to. I know Germany is one of them.
Mhm.
But Canada can be kind of tricky too. So we're working on it, but it's when you're dealing with legalities and laws hopefully changing over time, it's kind of a waiting game in some cases just to get elsewhere.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and COVID restrictions and all the clutter left over from it haven't helped.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the whole pandemic thing really did kind of
Yeah,
screw things up. But I mean, at least we do have the option to have, a third party sell it to you. So no
right,
matter where you are, you can get our products. It's just a matter of how.
yeah, and, obviously, you're bringing a bunch of product to the expo. Are you coming?
I don't think I will be able to make it because my schedule's insane, but
It sounds like you have a lot of irons in the fire.
yes, yes. But I'm always here to help as a resource. I'd love
Beautiful.
to come. I was sad I couldn't come last year. I really, really do want to go.
Yeah, last year was amazing. This year is gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
And I've got 11 different speakers, which is mind-boggling.
yeah, that's amazing. I hope to do something like that around here one day.
Yeah, it's an experience, but, and, a lot of work, but, oh my god, the amount of knowledge that comes together in one room
Yeah,
is mind-boggling.
yeah, the
Absolutely mind-boggling.
yeah, all those wonderful people all in one place doing things for the right reason. You can't beat that. So
You
that's
can't beat that,
you
no.
can't put a price on that because I've gone to some amazing expos over the years, and I don't even know how much it costs because that really didn't concern me. It was the education and the camaraderie
Right.
that you experience when you're there.
Yeah,
Is
and you don't know until you get there because we've gotten so used to online events.
yeah,
But,
yeah,
you sit there at your desk or table or whatever.
yeah.
It's
It's
not
not the
like
same.
sitting next to someone
No.
who, shares your interests.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't compare at all.
No. And, you must have gone to veterinary conferences for your continuing education credits and, same thing. There's an energy there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a whole different type of energy for sure, but
Oh,
it's
yes.
I
Depending on what the focus is, yeah.
yeah, and I've gone to ones where they actually did talk about, like, food and, yeah, it's hit or miss sometimes with that. I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay, just
the thing the
that's
thing
not."
that gets the thing that gets me is, yeah, the food. I
I
can't
did
go.
I did attend one that, they did talk about food, and in a way where I was kinda surprised because it was about raw diets, and they basically
Mhm.
said, like, "If you don't properly educate yourself, your customers are gonna go elsewhere because, there is a shift, and people are wanting to feed fresh." So if you just straight up say, like, "It's bad," and don't give,
Right.
actual education and thought behind this, because the truth is once veterinarians do educate themselves from an objective standpoint on nutrition, they generally start to turn the other way, away from the big 3.
Yeah,
So, I
yeah.
at least appreciated that being said, but it's definitely an uphill battle in the veterinary industry when it comes to
It really is, and, the mythology that's believed and such, um, and, 95% of people feed their dog kibble.
yeah. Well, and there's just a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear about what you don't know, and if, your veterinarian is also fearful and doesn't know, that's only just gonna perpetuate a belief that fresh food is bad, or even CBD. I run into that a lot depending on the state
Yeah,
you're in. "Oh, my vet can't talk about CBD," or,
yeah, that
it
so let's dive into that because this is one thing where, your guys' efforts to spread the word have certainly had an impact,
Mhm.
to open minds, but yeah, I've had, colleagues in other states say their state I think California was one at one point.
Yeah,
Their state prohibited them from even discussing it.
yeah.
It's like, not we're not talking about selling it, we're not talking about recommending it, prescribing it, just discussing it, just saying the words. Well,
Yeah.
and I tried to put up a Facebook post through my post scheduler, and it got rejected because I used CBD in it.
Yeah.
So then I tried cannabinoids, and that got rejected. And I think then I went to hemp, and that went through.
Yeah, hemp's the okay term, but,
The
I mean,
okay term,
we
but it's crazy.
yeah, it is crazy, and, I mean, even in Illinois, the laws are still kinda sketchy, but one of the vets that I work for sells CBD, and
Mhm.
this was years ago. I'm like, "How do you get away with that?" I came from a very conventional practice when I started, being
Mhm.
a tech, and they were like, "You can't even talk about CBD. We will lose our license. We'll get
Right.
reported to the board," and I was like, "Oh, really?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
then this vet that sells it was like, "That law is so antiquated. No one's coming after anybody." She's kind of rogue and,
Yeah.
pushes the envelope, but still, it's like these laws, for the most part, are super antiquated, and everything is ever evolving and changing at a point where
Mm.
the law can't really keep up with it and really understand it. And we do just deal with that continual demonization of marijuana. I mean, even the word
Mhm.
marijuana, why it's called marijuana, but just cannabis in general has
Yeah.
been demonized. So we're fighting this stereotype of like, oh, CBD is going to get your pet high, or like, oh, they're going to get their munchies. Like
No, no.
that's not what this is. This is legit medicine
Yeah,
that works so beautifully with the body. So it's
yeah.
unfortunate, especially for veterinarians, because they're missing really a critical tool, in my opinion, for helping their clients and their patients, deal with.
Without a doubt. Like, you likened it to food, and I would completely agree with that, providing the body and working that system, that cannabinoid system in the
Yeah.
body has so many benefits.
Yeah, and why would we have an cannabinoid
And
system if
system.
we didn't need to fuel it with something?
Right, right.
Every
And
mammal has.
dogs have what, 3 times roughly the
Yeah.
number of
Way
receptors?
more receptors than we
Yeah.
do, which is nice because we don't have to give them as much, but yeah,
Mhm.
they respond so beautifully to it, and that's the
Yeah.
great thing about these types of natural medicines is dogs don't know a placebo effect, so all you see is
Right.
results, and then you come around like, "Oh,
Mhm.
wait," just like, I mean, how many people start feeding their dogs better food and then go like, "Hey, what am I eating? Maybe if I eat more whole
Yeah.
fresh foods, I'll feel better." So, it works in both ways. I just wish there wasn't so much legalities and nonsense to have to trudge through to get, people to realize the truth about cannabis and even mushrooms. Mushrooms, the same thing. People
Oh,
think,
yeah. They think
it's
that,
all
yeah.
psilocybin and their dogs are gonna trip out, and it's like, "No,
Yep,
it's not
yep.
that kind of mushroom."
No, no, these are therapeutic, and even culinary mushrooms have
Yeah,
beneficial ingredients. We have a
absolutely.
request to, talk about Amy's question. So, I think we need to realize sometimes we have been around this a bit, are comfortable with the terminology,
Mm-hmm.
but so many people are so new to this that we forget to define stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
So
So,
full spectrum.
so I'll go in the opposite direction. So isolates is what it sounds like. It's isolated. So it's just CBD. And CBD is used as a really broad term, but we're talking about hemp extract. CBD is one part of that. There's CBG, there's CBC, there's a million different terpenes, flavonoids,
Mhm.
cannabinoids in the hemp plant. But isolate is just CBD. And actually, this is something that it was initially what came out. And then as more research has been done, it's actually been shown to not be as beneficial, especially at higher doses. But it was kind of the go to at first for dogs with epilepsy. And then broad spectrum came around when we started appreciating the importance of full spectrum, but we're dealing with, again, the misconceptions and miseducation when it comes to THC, because a full spectrum extract has everything. It has THC, it has all of the cannabinoids, it has all the flavonoids, terpenes, all of that in one. Broad spectrum, there's a process that goes into broad spectrum and isolates to extract those parts out of it. And not only does that, of course, make a more processed product and a less quality product, but research just keeps showing over and over and over again that full spectrum has the most benefits. It's going to cause little to no side effects, even at very large doses, versus broad spectrum and isolates, which kind of have a curve where you get to a point and then the side effects or the just beneficial effects actually start to decrease. So full spectrum is definitely the best, and that's not just our opinion, that's science's opinion.
Right.
As research continues to go in that direction, where most research done on CBD oil is done on full spectrum hemp extract because it has the most benefits with the least amount of side effects.
Excellent. Excellent. I like that. Oh gosh, Kim, this is a direct parallel to raw feeding.
Yeah.
I have a practice that is extremely anti-raw, and people that come to me, they're like, well, they won't work with my dog.
Yeah.
Okay, come on over here, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen trainers say that raw fed dogs aren't as smart or don't train as easily, and I was like, that couldn't be further from the truth. But
No,
I
yeah,
mean, in my opinion, this question is just a result of traditional training and fear-based practices that just don't support actual science and evidence,
yeah,
in terms of understanding how full spectrum hemp extract and cannabis works on the same receptors as most of these things, and just not understanding, like, how long it's in their system. I can't even imagine why they wouldn't actually do the spay, what their real reasoning would be. I mean,
well,
I'm a
probably, they
surgical tech.
probably said it's our policy,
Yeah, exactly, and then just no.
and then just no. But you know, um, conventional veterinarians do not hesitate to adopt use of the latest drugs.
Yeah, I know. That's the
Like,
crazy thing.
I forget what it's called, but FDA yesterday approved the first monoclonal antibody injection for dogs for osteoarthritis.
Mhm.
Now it's been approved for cats, I think, for almost a year. But that'll be on the shelf next week.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
will they do any research or opening of their mind to read about cannabinoids? No.
It's just too bad because
It's another medication, drug, supplement, food.
it
It's
is,
another
and
tool.
it's because we don't have big pharma behind it, which is actually kind of funny because there are isolated pharma drugs that are cannabis based. There's one for chemotherapy for nausea, uh,
Mhm.
out there that's been out for a while, so they know what's going on. It's just, again, when conventional vets go off sales reps and pharmaceutical companies as their primary source of information, it's not until that pharmaceutical company comes out and says, oh, this is okay, that they'll trust it. And that's just, I mean, you could get into like philosophical fallacies there and just how that doesn't really make any sense to just blindly trust. But humans do that. You trust anybody off the bat and then wait for them to give you a reason
Or
to realize that they're lying to you. So
them as an authority figure, but yeah.
exactly.
Until-
I mean, I
until-
see it all the time with flea and tick medicine
Oh,
and
God. Yeah.
the misconceptions. Even Cytopoint's a great example. When it
Mhm.
first came out, I was working at a conventional clinic, and they said, "Oh, it has no side effects," and I went, "That's not possible. Like, are you really believing that there's no side effects of this drug? It shuts down a part of the immune system."
Yeah, you're screwing with the immune system.
But unfortunately, our pets are the guinea pigs because it really doesn't take much testing or trials to get a vet pharmaceutical drug out onto the market, and then we just test it on the general population and then start recalling it like what they did with ProHeart. So
Right.
it's
Well,
I mean, it's
and ProHeart's black. You know,
yeah,
with a black box warning, and you must have the owner sign a hold harmless
yeah,
statement,
but
which is ridiculous.
CBD is gonna kill your pet, like,
Yeah.
and I mean, even the issues with, um, cannabis toxicity and THC toxicity,
Mhm.
and toxicity versus actually, inebriation. What is the word I'm looking for? I'm totally having
Intoxication.
intoxication, there we go. Um,
Well, and and
THC
and I don't know about you, we're seeing more cases of intoxicated dogs that got into an edible, or
yeah,
we had a very prominent reporter, journalist in the area, who was walking her doodle, and he must have picked up the end of a joint and ate it. And I mean, he spent 2 days in the hospital on fluids.
yeah,
And I mean, this woman is a force of nature. The editorial she wrote, and it was just he picked it up off the street. So, bottom line, people, don't be careless
yeah,
with your recreational marijuana.
yeah,
But that's not CBD.
mhm.
Again,
Yeah. And what it would take to actually, I mean, it gets complicated because THC alone is not going to kill your pet, but it's all the other junk that's in there. If it's
mhm.
edibles, if it's, infused chocolate, that's the stuff that's going to harm your pet. But the
Yeah.
reality is it's just a lot of palliative care until the cannabis
Oh,
works its
oh,
way out of their
yeah.
system. But it's just another, like, oh my God, it's dangerous. I heard this is dangerous. And it's like, no, like, water can be unsafe if it's
Mhm.
consumed in too large of an amount. So
Exactly.
understanding how to use things properly is very key. It's just everybody just wants a pill. Just like, give me a pill and just throw it down their throat. I don't want to understand it. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I saw 3 dogs, this past Wednesday and Thursday, all taking Bravecto,
Mm.
a once every 3rd month flea and tick preventative, all new positives for tick-borne disease. And the drug company tells us, "Oh, no, that's impossible." Well, the owner bought the drug, the owner administered the drug, they brought the right number of doses to have used it continuously, and here you go.
Yeah.
Well, they just deny it.
No, and that's the problem is when we keep giving these preventatives, we're creating superbugs, which is why Simparica Trio came out to deal with heartworm superbugs. So these,
Mhm.
I mean, not to mention all the other neurological issues that are associated with all these flea and tick chemicals, but it's just crazy to me. I mean, there's so many pharmaceutical drugs in the human industry and the veterinary industry that have the potential to be fatal, and people will give them without a question because their vet told them. But CBD, that's not fatal, can't be fatal. There is no lethal dose.
Right.
That's scary. And we gotta, we can't do surgery or we can't do this. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want to see your patient. That's just insane. It's just absolutely enraging,
It
actually,
really is.
from a vet tech. It's very annoying.
Yeah, and this happens too.
Ah,
Let's double up on these pesticides.
that is, oh,
It's
that's the rest
it's
of our
crazy.
Yeah.
So to go back to CBD, which is what we're supposed to be talking about,
Yeah.
what other, and we talked about Bruce, what other cases come to mind in your clientele? What have people had success with?
So allergies is definitely one that when I first started learning about CBD, I had no idea that it helped with allergies. But the Ease formula is amazing because not only are each of our formulas specifically tailored for the conditions which they're labeled for, um, the powerfulness of a full spectrum extract is going to yield such amazing results in terms of inflammation, being a natural antihistamine because there's natural quercetin in there, But the part that people kind of forget when it comes to allergies, and I think this is why CBD seems to make such an impact on my customers, is because it alleviates the anxiety that's associated with the chronic itching. It calms their nervous system down from this like constant, like everything itches and I feel like I'm crazy. So for sure, allergies, in combination with the Soothe Salve, we've just seen amazing results. And I mean, within just a couple days, like rashes going away, hives, contact dermatitis, even like that salve is just incredible. And it works really well for bug bites too. Remedy and Soothe are amazing for bug bites for people.
Oh, great.
But I'd say allergies are definitely one of the biggest turnarounds that we see because people have tried everything. And then we suggest CBD and they never thought about that. And then, of course, this is springtime and summer, so anxiety is ramping up. The thunderstorms, after every thunderstorm, we get a surge of people that come in looking for something to help with that. And it's incredible. Last year, we had a guy come in, I think it was like July 2nd, and he bought a bottle of Calm and then came in day after 4th of July, and we were like, is everything okay? He's like, I need a backup bottle because this stuff works so well. I need to have it. He had like a lake house and a house here. And he's like, I need to have it everywhere because this is just such an incredible product. And just, it makes our day because you can see how stressed and frustrated people are with, what's going on with their dogs, and to finally give them an effective solution that they can feel comfortable with, that there's not going to be any long-term side effects, that just makes everybody so happy. And I mean, obviously, Bruce, I've used a CBD for just about everything. He gets it every single day. And so do our other 2 dogs, because we have a very, very anxious, nervous pitty mix. That's just how she is. And CBD helps them so much. And then not to mention, if we get people on a combination of full spectrum hemp extract and mycodog mushrooms, especially for immune system issues like allergies. One of the other really cool things was I started giving Bruce Breathe. The respiratory mushroom blend, and I saw results overnight, and then started selling it to a lot of brachycephalic customers. And they're like, oh my God, this stuff works so well. I was like, see, it makes it so worth it what I do when people come back and give me that feedback. That this
feedback is so important.
And when it comes to CBD, like I said, people get so tarnished by using a poor quality product that, when you convince them to try just one more time, I swear this is going to work, just use it consistently, and the results speak for themselves. And it's just, it never gets old hearing the feedback of like, oh my God, thank you so much. It helps so much.
Yes.
And even in a sadder case, we had a woman who had a Italian Greyhound that was nearing the end, and it was kind of just in a hospice situation until, it was going to be time. And she used the Heal formula, and she said it brought her a lot of peace because instead of over medicating her dog, which she would have had to do with heavy duty pharmaceuticals, her dog was still there with her, comfortable, happy, and not in pain when it was time to say goodbye. So I mean, from start to finish, it can be such a wonderfully beneficial product for our pets. I wish everybody would put their pets on it.
Try it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we make our breakthroughs 1 or 2 dogs at a time sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Kim had a question with the mushroom products. Any contraindications for cats?
I mean,
I'm always so cautious with cats.
That's a tough one. I mean, cats can use these products. It's just a matter of, figuring out what works best for them. I mean, with cats, because they're smaller, there's, dosage issues, not so much like you can really overdose them, but like the tinctures are glycerin based. So it just depends on your cat's stomach. I mean, glycerin has no effect on like blood sugar, so it's great even if you have a diabetic cat. But cats have the same systems, that all mammals do when it comes to, using these mushrooms beneficially. So no, I mean, cats can absolutely use them. It's just a matter of, figuring out your cat's dosage. They might need a little bit less just if they have a sensitive stomach, but generally speaking, they can use all those formula. There's nothing in there that's going to harm a cat. Absolutely.
Perfect. Yeah, because cats are sensitive to so many drugs.
Yeah. So like with anything, just, do what works for your animal. Go start slow, work your way up to the dosage that, you feel is appropriate and yielding effects without any negative effects. But again, with these natural medicines, any effects are only going to be temporary. There's going to be no permanent damage done in any way using them, which is amazing.
Yeah. Amy wants to know about the mushroom products with nerve issues. I think of that, what she's describing, more as a CBD
Yeah.
action.
But I mean, CBD, definitely, if someone brought this to me in my store, I would definitely recommend CBD. But like lion's mane mushroom is amazing for nervous system issues. It has the ability to actually regenerate nerve cells. So it's definitely something to use in combination with the appropriate dose of CBD. But I give Bruce lion's mane in the form of the Clarity tincture every day. Works really well for cognitive function, but it does help with nerve issues. Absolutely. That would be a wonderful product to incorporate alone or alongside CBD. Absolutely.
Good deal. And there was a question earlier on about dogs with seizures and using CBD for that, either in conjunction with anticonvulsants or as a first line.
Yeah. So, I mean, I always hope that when someone comes to me with an epileptic dog or like just had their first seizure, that they haven't gone on to the heavy duty drugs, because those do cause so many issues. But you can use them alongside them. What I usually recommend, because they work on a lot of the same receptors, CBD is a natural plant medicine. So it doesn't have that potent, I don't know, I'll say clinging action as a pharmaceutical does to get to those receptors first. So there's some competition there. So if people are willing to, what usually I recommend is that they give the CBD an hour before they give the pharmaceuticals, because the pharmaceuticals will fill in any gaps that the CBD hasn't filled. And then you give the CBD really to a chance to do its job naturally, versus, you know, the pharmaceutical drugs like Keppra, potassium bromide, phenobarb, that are going to all cause long-term organ damage. And of course, it depends on the dog. Epilepsy can be very complicated in terms of its origin. If they have a brain tumor, if it's from a flea and tick medication, this can all complicate dosing, and administering, you know, properly to get the right result. So there is some trial and error when it comes to epilepsy, to get your dog's right dose. Of course, CBD is super safe, so you can use it at a very high dose, but there's no need to give more than is necessary. So it is one of those things where it's like, just try giving a little less by a drop and see if you have any breakthroughs. And then you can really get to that fine-tuned dosage where you're just doing exactly what your dog needs to get the right result, which is obviously no seizures.
No seizures, yeah. And have you seen any seizures with the oral isoxazolines?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I also saw it with Seresto collar.
Me too.
For one time, and now the dog has permanent epilepsy. So that's one of those things where it's like, you know, you'll give these things at a drop of a hat, not realizing that the damage is permanent, versus CBD, where there is no permanent damage. Any rare side effect you would see would be completely temporary. So,
well, and you know, I mean, we say side effects that can range from anything from the dog feeling a little bit off, or maybe a GI upset, to something much more serious.
Yeah, certainly GI upset is the most classic.
And you can get GI upset from a good taco. So
yeah, exactly. But I mean,
just in perspective, it's a side effect, yes.
Yeah,
absolutely, but it's not a serious one. And something like a seizure, to me, is pretty damn serious. Now, my Seresto dog did seizure, was seen by a neurologist who, of course, said, no, it could not be the Seresto collar.
Yeah, of course.
And he happened to be a Schutzhund dog, so he bites and tracks and heals for a living, and he couldn't work. One day, a friend of the handlers kind of put the timeline together and said, you know, all this started when you put the collar on. Why don't you take it off? 3 days later, he was biting. It was amazing. And when I say biting, on command, obviously.
Oh yeah. It's crazy.
So we got lucky, and he never had another seizure again. But it impacted this person and the dog significantly for a period of time.
I just really wish, and I know vets are very busy, and I remind people of that when they ask me, you know, why didn't my vet tell me this? When I explain it to them how Apoquel works, and they're supposed to wash their hands or wear a glove when they administer it. Mm-hmm. It takes education and having time to converse with your customers or your clients. And I know vets don't have the time for this, but I really think that a short conversation explaining how things work in their dog's body and informing them of the risks and benefits instead of just shoving these things in clients' faces, it's just not fair. And it's the reason I do what I do, is because I have been in the vet's office in a fear-based mindset, given drugs and just, okay, well, I have to do this, not knowing that there's alternatives. And we live in a world where there's so much information and there's ways to present information quickly and efficiently that I start to get really annoyed with vets telling people things that are either outright lies or not explaining things to them fully. And then I come in, just a measly vet tech or, pet store owner, to what my customers see.
Yeah.
I'm going, well, how do you know this?
Yeah.
Your vet generally does know this stuff. They just don't have the time to explain it to you. Or
I'm going to disagree to some degree. And I too work in a conventional practice.
Yeah.
Alongside colleagues who give everybody Bravecto and Apoquel. Number one, I will say I'll defend the profession by saying no vet went in there to hurt your dog.
Of course not.
They just believe differently than we believe in which path of practice. That being said, I will fault them for not reading the package insert. I'd wager out of my 9 colleagues, not one of them has read the Apoquel package insert. Not one of them knows that every box of Bravecto now carries a seizure warning on the box. And it was there before on the package insert.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not fully doing your job. And yes, we are all busy. But while I defend them on one hand, it is inexcusable not to tell a patient that you're prescribing Bravecto to that this drug carries a cancer risk, that on the pre-approval studies, there was a 30% dropout rate because the dogs got cancer when they put them on the drug.
Yeah.
And that it's going to immunosuppress them. And guess what? The skin infections come back. Other things come back. It is just insane.
It is. It's like, it doesn't take that much time. And I know there's just a willful ignorance to have that trust, but it's like when there's a tool like full spectrum hemp extract that can yield those amazing results and not harm your patients, why wouldn't you want to know about it?
You'd want to know about it. And we all pick what we're comfortable with. For example, you'll never catch me dispensing carprofen or Rimadyl. I've had bad experiences. I don't go there.
Yeah.
Other people give it out like candy, and with no negatives that they see. I have one guy try to give my patient that I spent 3 years putting back together, put a Labrador with severe allergies, had to put 20 pounds on him. He had GI issues. He wanted to give it Apoquel, Pred, and vaccinate it all on the same day.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So sometimes these things push my buttons a little bit, as I'm sure you can see.
Oh yeah. When I worked at the conventional practice, I saw things like that being done. And then, there was one time where I was a lab that was given 4 vaccines. A couple of them were combos. And then a month later had IMHA. And it was like, this is how these things happen, is you can't just, it's a bias that happens when you think like, oh, I give all of these and I rarely see, an issue. So it must be okay. When the reality is most owners don't report it. So you don't know.
And most veterinarians believe vaccine reactions happen within 24 hours of the vaccine. And that's it. And I, back in vet school, we vaccinated a lot more. My Labrador got IMHA. And I vaccinated him sometimes twice a year because we were going to dog shows. That's what we thought then we needed to do. But today's vaccines are 100 times more effective than those. We don't need to give them with any of the frequency that we even still currently do.
Yeah.
So, I think as a profession, we're obligated to keep up with the changes in the products and technology we use. And CBD is part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's critical. It's such a great tool. And I talk about that like with customers about the toolbox when they don't understand how come my vet doesn't know about mushrooms or CBD. Well, your vet just has a limited toolbox. It's not that they don't want to know more. They're busy and they're
and maybe their thing is cardiology and they know so much more cardiology or orthopedics.
Exactly. So it's just having all of those tools. Is CBD going to fix a broken bone? Of course not. But it's going to be so vital in so many of these chronic long-term illnesses where the veterinary community just doesn't have good solutions for that. I mean, Bruce has thrombocytopenia. We have no idea what caused it. But the first question that was asked, when's the last vaccine he got? That was the first thing I was asked when he was diagnosed. And
First immune trigger.
yeah, we know these triggers exist, and there are tools out there to help our dog's immune systems function better and more properly,
Mhm.
and keep the body in balance. And that's where CBD and mushrooms come in. And it's so unfortunate that so many in the community just don't know about it. And it
Yeah.
needs to be shouted from the rooftops about how
Well,
beneficial this stuff and how
that's kind
safe.
of what we're doing,
Yeah.
and what we're trying to do. So, I mean, you guys who are hanging with us out there, thank you so much for hanging while we go back and forth and change up topics kind of rapidly. But tell your friends, tell your family, tell your vet. You know, there's a lot of science out there.
Yeah.
And I think on the CBD Dog website, you have a resources tab, right?
Yes.
With links to actual journal articles. One of my colleagues is very Mr. Evidence-based medicine, and if it doesn't have a double-blind placebo-controlled study, he's not interested.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you how much of the human medical research doesn't have that.
Yeah.
But there are peer-reviewed journals. It's not fabricated, it's not voodoo, it's actual science.
Yeah.
A lot of what these
really
things
good
do.
stuff. Yeah, it's there. The information is there, and at CBD Dog Health, I mean, we try our damnedest to make sure that you have all that information at hand, really accessibly. Like when I write my blogs, I always cue in research studies so that people can
Yeah.
see the stuff isn't just we're
And
not just making anecdotal claims here anymore. Like stuff is researched
exactly. 'Cause
thoroughly.
God knows there are enough people out there that just make anecdotal claims and can't back it up.
Yeah.
But and two, I want to see for myself because I might pick up something from that journal article that takes me in another direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I've done that when I'm writing blogs and I read the
yeah.
research and I'm like, oh, this is something else, and I can make a connection here. And the important thing is, my mentor, and he's like a father to me, Dr. Carl DeStefano, told me once, the more you teach, the more you learn. And that
Mhm.
didn't make sense to me at first until I started teaching people, because the more you teach and talk about these things, even if you don't think you know very much, the more you do it, the more connections you're going to make in
Yeah.
terms of like, oh, that works with that. Because the more you talk about it, the more that's going to happen. So the more you do tell people about it, and even we've had people that their neighbor saw that their dog was running around again and was like, "What did
Mhm.
you do?" And they say, "Oh, I just started
Yeah.
giving CBD." It's sometimes as easy as that, but just spreading that word and just helping people understand makes such a difference, and it only can help our pets live happier lives. They're not here for very long, so we owe
No.
it to them to give them the best we absolutely can.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Janet. Janet has a remarkable vet up in the North Country. Doesn't always agree with her, but keeps an open mind. And, I think if the vet you're working with does not keep an open mind, or as we've talked about, openly rejects, whether it's fresh cooked food, raw food, CBD, whatever, don't be afraid to say, look, I wish you all the best. I
Yeah,
need to find somebody else who can help me.
absolutely. It's
Because truthfully, you'll both be happier.
yeah,
Vet is not happy dealing with someone who won't. I don't like it when people won't do what I say.
yeah,
That's human nature.
absolutely.
But if you find someone that respects you and you can have a conversation, and as she said, he can't argue with the health and vitality of my dogs. I mean, they can't argue with the results.
No, and that's the thing. It's like once people see it, once vets see it. I have a customer who's a veterinary technician at a very, very conventional practice, and when
Mm.
she started showing the chief vet there, the effects of CBD with her dogs, they start to come around and they start to understand and trust. Like, okay, there might be something to this. So you
Mhm.
got to at least try. But definitely, if you're having back and forth fighting with your vet and just you can't be honest and open and comfortable, there's other vets out there. I mean, the holistic veterinary community is growing and growing, thank God. Not
Yeah.
quickly enough, but growing to the point where at least you could telehealth consult with, people like yourself or Dr. Suter, other people that can do this from a distance to help guide you through this and help you make better choices, even if your conventional vet isn't on board, and you can just use them as like a backup for emergencies.
Yeah, you gotta have somebody close by that if your dog cut their foot, could suture it up for you.
Absolutely.
That's gonna happen Friday at closing time, but, then you'll have to go to the
Yes.
emergency clinic and sit for 5
Always.
hours.
Always, yes. That's
But
always when they come in when they haven't been feeling well for 3 days. It's Friday at 7 o'clock.
it always is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
always is. Um, s So this just occurred to me. Do you have veterinarians selling CBD dog health anywhere? Do you have
Um,
anybody who's keeping it on their shelf?
yes.
Is
So
it
there's a wonderful, yeah, there's a wonderful animal chiropractor a couple cities over, and she has a vet that does acupuncture there, and
Mhm.
Dr. Lauren Beard, who I believe will be on our podcast in a couple weeks.
Oh, good.
But she does sell it. And the vet that I currently work with doesn't, but the other one that I work with, the really holistic bare bones one, Dr. Carl DeStefano's wife, Dr. Dina Gersel, does also sell CBD Dog Health
Good.
because she's seen the results, of course, for her own animals and Bruce.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are quite a few around here that do, thank God. But it's just getting away from, I won't name other brands, but there's one that
There's one big veterinary brand.
yeah, yeah, and then there's one that's like an offshoot, and they make broad spectrum, and it's just not so great. So it's just a matter of, getting those vets educated. At least they're trying. At least there are vets selling CBD, but again, it's trying to get those truly, remarkable results from a broad spectrum or an isolate. That's going to be hard to come by.
Well, and it would seem a no-brainer that, let's say, a vet was anti-CBD because they had seen poor results. If they had a good product to sell, it'd be a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
they don't open their minds that way.
I know. It's tough. It's definitely tough. It amazes me in the medical community because all we do is research in human or veterinary world. So there's
Mhm.
always new information. So it boggles me that doctors can be so close-minded. But when you get into a comfortable space doing what you're doing, sometimes, I mean, that's human nature. Change is very uncomfortable. So when it
Yeah.
comes to something like this, that's a change, and not only a change, but something that has been demonized for a long, long time. That's really tough for some people to wrap their minds around. But
Yeah,
it's
especially depending on your age. Um,
yeah.
and the profession is obviously becoming more female and the older and a younger profession. So I think it will get better. But when you've lived, because how many states is recreational marijuana legal in now? Have we made it to half?
I think so. That's a good question. The
You
recreational thing.
Yeah, let's look it up.
Yeah, I
But,
should.
the younger generations are more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Somebody who's been, for all their life, it was demonized and illegal, and you couldn't do that, and you'd go to jail.
Yeah.
Yes, gonna have a hard time dealing with anything that reeks of it, pun intended.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the same thing with I mean raw food.
Yeah,
The practice owner of the first place I worked, when I said I fed raw, he laughed in my face and said I was going to kill my dog, and I'm like, "Okay, well, you're 80 years old, and you're comfortable with Purina Pro Plan, and that's your thing. So if you could just respectfully leave me alone, because my dog
yeah,
is doing great and he's not dead, so doing one."
well, and, you know, I just and then a last digression. Do they think raw meat is so dangerous? How do butchers stay alive?
Yeah.
How do chefs? How do sushi people who make sushi makers? How are
Well,
they not dead?
it's that classic bias. Like I said, they see one bad case, which at the clinic I worked at, a woman was
Yeah,
trying to make her own raw dog food and putting it in the blender. And of course, there was splinters of bones that perforated the bowels and
sure.
created a disaster. That is such a
Appropriate machinery.
rare, rare circumstance to,
Yeah,
to just base everything off that and not understand anything about the commercial, pet industry, raw pet food industry.
yeah,
It's frustrating, but yeah, it's definitely turning over, and there's a lot of people out there educating young vets, going to vet schools, like Dr. Marty Goldstein is doing that, and
mhm,
there's people out there that are trying to get that word out about these new tools and new practices. So hopefully, veterinary world seems to be like 2 decades behind the human world in terms of its evolution and practices in medicine. So hopefully, being in the world that we live in with so much information at hand, and continuing education evolving in that way, we can, get the word out about full spectrum hemp extract and mushrooms,
yes,
and what a key tool this can be to helping your dogs or cats
absolutely.
or horses
Or horses
or
or humans.
pigs or chickens. They all have endocannabinoid systems, so they all can use it. Right.
Yeah. Well, Krista, this has been so much fun. I'm so
Yes,
glad you were able to come on.
it has. And here's Brucey,
Bruce,
fresh woken up.
Bruce, you woke up. He's like, Mom, I didn't want to wake up.
He's the reason for all of this. Oh, big
Mhm.
stretches.
I'll
Oh,
tell you, there is I have a soft spot for pugs. There is nothing cuter than a pug puppy.
oh my God.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, they are like 2 pounds of just vibrating joy.
Yes. They're
They
little
are
clowns. I mean, look at this goofy face.
yeah.
My little creature.
More people should have pugs.
Yeah. They make you smile for
They
sure.
really do.
And not to mention, with CBD and mushrooms, how much better Bruce can breathe. So
Yeah,
get
well,
that word out there.
put that word out there that for the brachycephalics.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all guys for hanging with us. We will see you soon at the expo. Maybe your schedule will change and you'll be able to make the trip, but the rest of the team from CBD Dog Health will be there.
Yes, they will.
Product in hand. And have a great weekend, everybody. Bye for now.
Bye.